Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And it is a holiday here in the States. And yes, I agree, Mountain. My tea is just cooking away also. But I've been up for 3 hours, but that's all right. Hey, Janos, I did call you back a couple times. Cowboys went to the city to the Chinese restaurant. Chinese restaurant. You see those pictures I sent you with the cowboy hats on the straw ones as we were leaving the restaurant? There was two friends of mine. Oh yeah, the the country bumpkins went to the big city. All right, where we go from here? Let's start off. There's a dollar index up there on J4X, and let me just do that too. There we are. There we go. Mountain West says, Janos, are you tracking European stocks? I imagine, yeah. I mean, let's see what well, our stock market's open for another 3 hours. Yeah, about 3 hours. But let's check out the DAX on all our works. We can do. There's the dollar index to start off with, and the dollar index is looking fine still. It's just steady. They don't want to really let it go. Just as we were saying that 2 or 3 trading days back, and they put this pressure on it right here in the red. We knew that it just has that, just that being in the weekly buy like it is right here on our new platform, and then looking at it again on the old platform, you see in that weekly buy, and then you can see here on our weekly here. Let's go back to the weekly on J4X. You can see there, and the fast is 92.2, and the slow is at 94. It's trying to top out, but that's awful high up at the same time. So I mean, yeah, it's gonna bang against the ceiling, and it's gonna be less accurate in many ways. But it's still giving us a good clean direction with all that green. There's not much to be really thought about when it comes to the dollar. People are there's too much capital around to not want to park it somewhere where you're going to get it back, and that's pretty much what it comes down to. So, Yana says, "Are you trading European stock?" Oh, that's Mountain. And Yana says, "I don't even analyze this that as much. Indices only, and upon regular for articles." Yeah, exactly. That makes sense. And different companies or brokerages have different specialties, so that makes sense. And you're more of an international thing. So, yeah, that would make sense not to be just focused on Europe. So there's the dollar index, but let's go over to the stock indice just to get a flavor of today's action. Let's see, right there. Let's take a look at the DAX. I think that's it right there. There's DAX, and it's showing a little strength in there. The fast is at 41, the slow is at 28. So definitely there's buying going on. And then we go over to here, and we take a look at it. Where are you, DAX? There it is right there. Isn't that there? That should be it, right? Yeah, that's it. Yeah. No. Maybe. Let's try that again. And there's that. Where's the DAX? Let's see what that is right there. There we go. I think. No? What's that? 10,000, 15, 16. Yeah, that's it. That's the DAX. It's just that there's this pressure here. Whereas we got green here, I've got red there. You can see the daily's pressing down. You can see the fast is at 41. The slow is at 28. Is that right? Am I looking at the right thing? Yeah, I think that is. DAX Euro. Okay, and then now why don't I see? Oh, that's a weekly. No wonder it doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, there we go. There's the daily. Now it makes sense. There we are. And so there's the DAX. They're working it down a little bit the last 2 days. I think they did the same thing with the S&P 500. Let's put the S&P 500 in there. I think the S&P 500 went into a daily sell yesterday, or on Friday, that is. Where are you, S&P 500? There's the NASDAQ. So there's Tech 100, and that was trying to press into the sell. It didn't get there. Let's see what it shows on the old platform. Yeah, so it's got that same look to it, but one's got a red, one has a green, and then you can see here, that's the DAX. So let's put the Tech 100 up on that. See how well that matches up to everything right there. And it's all that green there. And you can see we have that green going on the new Chicago platform. We're whoop, not that. Let's see, what is that? Let's just minimize that. Oh, where did I send it now? We got to go find that again. I disconnected us. That's what it is. No, I didn't. It's here. Where are you? What did I do to us that I can't see our charts? Let's go like this, like that, and start over again. Minimize this for a second. There we go. All right, so that's that's the not the S&P. That's the Nasdaq. That's the Tech 100, like you see it on J4X there with all that strength. But notice it's trying to get down low, and it's at 85.6 and on the fast, but 91 on the slow. So it's it's pushing it into the sell also, just waiting for a red daily hinky. And then you see the weekly is trying to jump through, and I bet we see the same thing over on J4X. 65 versus 40, yep, and we got green. So it's it's they're trying to lift that up, and then we go over to the S&P 500. Or no, okay, here we go. Then we go to the old Chicago Quant platform that we're still using, and that's trying to get into the weekly too today, even with the daily trying to play around with the daily sell. And then holiday, who cares? And then here's the S&P 500 doing the same thing right at the zeros point as we speak. And you can see they went into the sell there on Friday. So that a little sloppy pressure, nothing major. Okay, there you go. There's Giannis and Doc, we can look at the DAX and Poland and UK indices if there is an interest today. Yeah, I have no problem. And they are trading today. Yeah, that's why I put the DAX up there. And I think I think I put a Zolty in there, index. The Polish index. Let's find that. Boom, 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 boom. Where's it at? I'll type it in again. Was that Poland? Poland. Surprised they don't call it like the Warsaw Index or something like that. I guess that's it right there. And it's when you really look at it, it's been pretty nice bounce out of the lows going back into mid 22. That's first quarter of 22. Look at that. It's been a wonderful bounce. Really going after the high areas there. Let's see. And that's a weekly we're looking at. It looks like a reverse head and shoulders. In other words, it looks like it's bottoming and trying to take off. Yeah, exactly. And then, what was the other one we could go after? We got the DAX. Let's do the DAX again. There it is there on J4X. Look at that. They're challenging the yearly highs of 22. So they've really recovered very well out of all that craziness from the COVID. Look at that thing. It's over doubled since the low of the COVID 2020, 2021. And then let's what was the other one? I saw some DAX. UK. Let's see what the FTSE looks like. Oh, wrong keyboard. UK. Let's try that again. FTSE? No, that doesn't do it. Let's see. Was it? What do they call the UK index on Ducascopy? You know, it's really hard, and remember, I'm kind of pro. It should go down, not go up. I'm right there with you, but it's really hard to knock it down because there's a lot of demand. Let's see. Do I have UK? Let's see. Let's try that one more time. UK stock index. Nothing there either. Okay, so let's see if I can. Let me see what I can get up over here on the other one. Where are we going? Trading. Yahoo. GBR. Oh, okay, that makes sense. GBR index. Right. GBR. There it is. Perfect. And yeah, that makes sense. There's a 7,000 and change. And let's see what it's doing at the moment. This is the weekly. And I would imagine it's like the U.S. stock index. It's down, not up. And let me find it over here. GBR index. Not there. FTSE. Let's see if FTSE comes up. England. England stock index. Let's try that. Stock index. GBR. Still. Oh, what do we got there? Price culture securitized. That's not it. London Stock Exchange. Let's see what they say there. London Stock Exchange. London Stock Exchange Index. London Stock Exchange Index. It does that odd thing again. I go too far, I guess. London Stock Exchange Group. What is this? Okay. What's the symbol on it? LSG. It's in the 8,000s, so it's pretty close. Let's see what it does and says. 52-week range, 7,000 something. Yeah, it's pretty close. All right, so let's put that in. The LEG. Where is that at? LEG. Let's insert that. Right there. There we go. And that is, again, where are you? LSEG. LSEG. LSEG, where are you getting there? .L. Okay. .L. Let's see how this goes. LS. Save. All right. Now I'll go back to Ducascopy's chat line. All right. There's a indices only. Okay. Let's see. I thought there was a chart pad. Okay. GBR. Okay. I've done all that. Now we can go back over to here and give that a little spin. That didn't work. Trading again. There it is. Chicago Quant. And there it is. So it looks a lot like it, but it's at 82, whereas you have 74. So it must be a competing product. Let's put it up on the screen here for you. Right there. I mean, it's the same pattern when we go to the daily. I'm sure of that. Not really. Interesting. Look at that. That nice bounce. We had a nice bounce out of it, but it's been sideways here for a couple of days. So, let's see who this is. There we go. Okay, so what else can we say about these stock indices? I'd imagine they're going to do nothing. You know, I mean, with the holiday today, they close early. No one really wants to get tangled too much. One thing is for sure, and that is that money keeps on thinking that this is the time to buy and take risk. So whoever sells down is trying to short this thing is going to find out that the money is thinking in the other direction. Now, there's no doubt there's some walking around thinking that the world is coming to an end. Just like, you know, we talk here about thinking that the dollar is going to go down in value against pairs trades across the planet. But we don't think it's going to go out of business. We don't think it's not going to. Even if it wasn't what you would refer to as the world's reserve currency for all, it would be the world's reserve currency for the most. So in other words, you can have BRIC countries decide to try to come up with a new economic bloc, and you know traders will use it as they have to. But if there's no need to use it, then traders won't use it, and it'll fall in the same category as the Chinese yuan. You know, and the Chinese yuan basically trades under 3% of world markets every day. And that right there tells you that there is an issue. You know, in other words, they are on the wrong track, and there's no stopping that wrong track until they themselves have to get on that right track. And that's pretty much the whole game right there. All right, so yeah, stock indices should be relatively sideways today. They're showing strength more than they're showing weakness. But again, no one's paying attention to them, and they already have their positions on since Thursday, Friday, and they tried to sell it down on Friday, you know, and they closed in the minus on Friday. There's that sell. Did I put that sell in? I did not. I could have sworn I had to put it in there for the client, so it must be in there. It just erased itself. That's all. And so it's in a sell, but it's flirting with the weekly buy, and Qs are playing with the weekly buy, and I'd imagine the Dow Jones Industrial Average is playing with the weekly buy. Nope, not yet. That's the furthest back. Here you go. Let's take a look at the Russell 2000 and see what they're doing. I know they tried to jump into it and they fell back, and they've done a few things over time. Let's see. There it is right there. And it's working hard too, trying to get there, but it's not getting there, and it's pushed itself into the daily sell today, not Friday. Whereas you know, the others are playing with the daily sell. What else? So from here, we could go take a look at the currencies. They're trading more actively. So let's go take a look at the euro. That's the S&P 500. There it is right there. There's the euro. Let's put it up on the screen here. And they sold it down on Friday, and they're trying to lift it a little bit today. Still in that weekly sell. You know, they're not able to really get the buyers to come in. They're just flirting with these things. You know, do we expect to see a real deluge, or in other words, a big fall in the euro? I don't think so. I don't think anything's gonna. I don't think it's gonna challenge anything like the century or the one par like it did months ago. You know, like 9 months ago. I think that it's just going to vacillate and find a bottom again and turn up. The dollar index is telling us that the world at this point in time doesn't care that much overall about either of them. All right, from there, let's go over to the British pound. Remember, traders, you want to see something, just shout it out. We'll go hunt it down. If we've looked at it once, we can look at it again. Doesn't bother me. Okay, you can see the same thing going on the second day in the sell. Let's put a red line in there. There it is right there. So you can see that nice red line. It's pushing, into the sell, but it's not that organized or aggressive. And pretty much it is and you can see just it's just action. And when we widen it out, let's do it on J4X, because I always like looking at the bigger picture on J4X. Where you are, right there. And there it is. So when you really look at this major low here, you would expect, matter of fact, I wonder if we can do this. Let's tighten this up and put a Fibonacci in there just for the fun of seeing the recoil. So there's right there. Let's see, is it seen? Yeah, it is. I'll take the Fibonacci sequence and put it there, and now put it up to there. And it's just dragging along on, what's that, the 0.23. It's not even going after the 0.38. Right there, and then there's the 0.5, and that's the 0.618. So it's just hovering. Now let's do that same thing to the euro. There's the euro. There's the historic low, the historical low. See, you can see how it did it there and bounced off of what was that? That was like the 1/3, and then we can expand it again. That was there, and now we go like there, and it's breaking through, having a little bit more weakness. Remember, with the Federal Reserve playing with quantitative easing and being a participant in the stock market, the excuse me, the how to describe that? The markets really do function more towards technical analysis. They really do. They really push the function through technical analysis. Compared to any other time in the history of the market, unless you're going back to the Japanese markets, in the 13th and 14th century doing candlesticks. But they do. Since the age of quantitative easing, they really follow the technical analysis very, aggressively. And it doesn't seem to let go. In other words, it's nothing stopping it, because Janos has made it very clear. Fundamentals are not the guiding post to understanding appreciation or valuing a product anymore. That's the problem. And because of that, basically because of that, you could say, let's see, what can you say? You can say that because of that, they've gone to the simplest way of following markets without basically dealing with reality. I think that's the way. We could say that. We really could. We could use the word reality. We could not dodge it. Let's put it that way. And the reason why I say that is because they're dodging fundamentals, because fundamentals are not analogous or equal or working with our physical world every day. In other words, you see the inflation. What do they do with gold? They don't even go to all-time highs. Well, how's that fit with fundamentals? It doesn't. You see silver trading, a third or a half of the all-time highs, and we're at record inflation. In other words, they have abused the financial system to retain power. The people who made the mistakes are still in power to this day, financially. And so, how do you hide from that? What you do is you go and choose another measuring stick. Like, oh no, we don't need GDP and unemployment and inflation and, et cetera, et cetera, and et cetera. In other words, all the tools that everybody used fundamentally forever and ever, like money supply and money growth and, just all the basic mechanics, because they're using them abusively and they don't want people to concentrate on that. So instead, they have become very enamored, they've become very comfortable using moving averages and Fibonacci and, a few other technical analysis like, what do you call it, parabolics, but not that as much as MACDs and stochastics. They launch themselves in that direction and don't let go. And so that's why, I go, I think the dollar is overvalued, because I think that, that the prices are being held up. They should be lower. Not just the dollar, but just the things that they use for a measuring stick that says that you should be long or be short dollars. And that's what we're really talking about in the end. Everybody getting that? Does that make any sense? Am I on the right track? What else can we say? Let's see. Let me see. All right, so there's the cable. And from the cable, we're going to jump over to the Swiss. And let's see, where is it at? Swiss. Dollar Swiss, right there. And there's the dollar Swiss. It's trying to bounce up from its lows. I mean, it's, that's losing money when it goes up like that. But boy, can you be impressed with it? They did it right. They got it done. You see the earnings from we can talk about the fundamentals, and money managers pretend they use them, but you see the earnings from UBS, the United Bank of Switzerland. It's really, because of what they bought at Credit Suisse, getting Credit Suisse out of the way to not hurt the Swedish economy. It's looking very good, the product. You see, sometimes one needs to stay out of the market too. Oh, without a doubt, there's always three positions. But I have found that I see. Let's see. What do you see? You see. Let me just throw a letter in there so I can see the rest of that. You see, but I have found that I seem unable to identify these periods. Right. Well, that's where the daily and the weekly stand out. When you've got the daily and the weekly working in the same direction, that's where you play it, and using the binaries, for 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 days or something like that for the very, very short term. I like short-term options, like 2 months out, 6 weeks out, something like that, a little under 2 months, and they hold up better, and they have a decay. But if you do it as a binary, it works out a little bit better. Or if you're just going to be naked long or naked short, that's fine. And then when the weekly and the daily are fighting with each other, that's where you go neutral, and you stand to the side and let them battle it out until they can figure out where they want to go. Does that make sense to you? I mean, that's how I know when to and when not to. All right, and then let's put it up on there too. There is where is the Swiss? There it is, right there. And the Swiss is moving up, not afraid to. It's giving up a little of its gains, but it's been a fantastic gain. So in that case, there, it's like what the heck. Let's see. All right, I'm just answering a text. There we are. There we are. We're finishing this text off. All right. So from there, I guess we go over to what's interesting is the yen. I saw the yen got popped back up again, and that is a okay. Here's Giannis. That is what I want help with on Saturdays. That's what I figured. I thought that was, but I was like, remember it was Friday night for me, and I was having a couple adult beverages. Actually, been having a lot of adult beverages the last couple of days with the holiday weekend and a newborn and so forth. So yes, I agree, and that's exactly what we can work on too. We can do a couple webinars on that. Talking about how to. I always say we say this a lot here on the webinar. You can be long, you can be short, or you can be neutral. And and if you miss a trade, that's the way it goes. Who cares? But you want the best percentage to be working in your favor. And that's really what it comes down to in the end. It does. The idea is not to trade, but to make money. What else can we say about that? All right, let's go over to the yen, because I saw the yen start to lift up. You mean how to build something long term? You can do that too with options. You can do all kinds of things with it. If you want to be a long term investor, you can, let's say you're doing a buy right, okay, and you're long the underlying product and collecting the dividend if it's a stock. If it's like a currency, you're long the product overall, and you sell call against it or calls and turn it into a butterfly. And then what happens is that you would do that when it goes to neutral, and then when it's done being neutral, you take off 2 parts of the butterfly and you become net long again, giving you a higher delta again on the long side. And in other words, you go back and forth, and you do that. You play that that system over and over again. So. Indeed. And that's the whole process itself. And so, what else can we say about any of that? I guess let's go take a look at the yen. But that is the strategy. That is the strategy, is knowing when to be neutral, when to be long, and when to be short. And that works out a lot better. That's what I want to help with some other types of commissions. So you mean how to hold something long term, right? Exactly, or short term, doesn't matter. To me, short term can be really 6 weeks, and you're buying 6-week-old option spreads, but you may only hold on to it for 3 days or 4 days, but you never know when that profit's going to finally come around into your favor with the math. Most forex people go with very short term or even scalp. That's possible too. That's no problem. And again, that's just more labor intensive. That's all that is. Let's get the yen up there. Yen. And there is the yen. And as you can see there on the daily, it's trying to make a little push there today on the upside. Let's take a look at it here. Right there, there it is. Doing the same thing, trying to push it up on the upside there. There we are. So, yen. What do I have to say about the yen? Again, I was really happy to see, we're in that weekly buy here. You can see that right there. I've been answering a lot of texts today in a couple of different directions. And so, not counting with talking about the webinar at the same time. You can see here the product is, trying to lift back up in a daily. You can see it right there. And at the same time, you can see it's been in that weekly buy. The slow here, the fast here, and it's done its job. It's doing what it's supposed to do, go up in value. And then we look at it over here. You can see it's trying to do the same thing again. And the fast is at 45, and the slow is at, where is that? 41, basically, 42. Bank of Japan said that they might change their policy next year. Yeah, we talked about that about 3 months ago when he took over, the new president of the Bank of Japan. So in the dollar yen should continue to go going up. He said he was going to evaluate the policies over the next 3 months, very scrutinizing. In other words, he was going to really intensely try to figure out what the policy really is, how well it's worked. Boy, that was a bold thing. He might be asked to do Harry Carry if he goes too deep into it. You're talking about an economy that's been in literally stagflation for over 3 decades. Not 3 days, not 3 weeks, not 3 months. 3 decades. Not 3 years. 3 decades. 30 plus years of stagflation. So, yeah, I would say that the Bank of Japan has basically not done what's necessary in the right way, but they have kept, obviously, certain people in power. And so, it's, what do they always say? It's like moving the deck chairs on the Titanic, So, in other words, it's... you can do all the moving and shifting and changing and evaluating, but if you're not willing to stop the ship and change its direction, it doesn't really matter. And that's, so he was very conciliatory when he became Bank of Japan president about 3 months ago, and we talked about it here for weeks. That he's planning on doing something, and he claims he's going to actually evaluate past policies. Like I said, if he goes and evaluates past policies, they may ask him to do Harry Carry, because they'll say you need to fall on your sword because you weren't supposed to do that. You're supposed to look like you care, not actually care. That's what it comes. That's what's in my head. You're supposed to look like you want to be responsible. We didn't tell you to be responsible. You're just supposed to look it. And that's pretty much where we're at. And that's really wacko. But that's what he did. And then I loved it. The new president said, how do you say it? He said, I'm going to reevaluate past performance. And then he kind of started getting a little bit deeper and longer into metaphors like, we're going to investigate which ones worked and which ones didn't. That's dialing it down a little bit, because obviously some worked and some didn't. Why does he need to say it? We already know that. So that means he's starting to what we call double talk. He's trying to talk his way out of sounding very, stern. And then he said something like about the policies. He's going to be so thorough, he said, that he could go almost a whole year before he changes policy. That's like a second cop-out. It's like you just told us at the beginning you're going to evaluate over the next 3 months the processes that have been used for years past. and you're going to do something about it. And then at the same time, you start to invent new sentences that mean nothing. So that says to me double talk. I had that same answer today in physics. Someone was talking about time and space, and on one of my physics websites, and I just yesterday I answered them, and you know how the internet is. People start to get all kinds of raunchy and aggressive when you do that, but not in physics. Instead, I throw my formulas at them. They throw their formulas at me. I show flaws in their formula, and they have nothing to say about mine. And then they usually back off and say, "Okay, yeah, that sounds good." And I can't tell you how many times that happens to me in the physics realm, in the math realm, where I start off answering a question, they challenge it, they try to act like the Bank of Japan. They're going to give me the real dirt, the real information. I respond back telling them that this formula I see doesn't fit with reality because, X, Y, or Z. And this formula that I like does, and then I give an example. And then that's when they have to fall on their sword or their dagger. The Harry Carry has to start because they realize that they're just mouthing ideas that have been failures for a long period of time. How did I say it this morning? About the Higgs field? I said something like, how it didn't work in 1977 and it doesn't work now. No, I said it hasn't worked in 1977 and CERN can't make it work now. No, CERN can't help it and cannot take a round peg, and I just left it at that, a round peg, and put it in a square hole. That's pretty much what it comes down to. And it's the same thing with the fundamentals of the Bank of Japan. Bank of Japan, does, stands out, says I'm going to care. And in 2 paragraphs, not 2 days, not 2 weeks, not 2 months, 2 paragraphs later, they're telling you that how much they're going to care, but they're not going to give us an answer for a very, very, very long time. To me, that's what I call the fudge factor. It means they're going to fudge the mathematics to the point where, in the end, you're not going to be able to distinguish between this Fed chairman in Japan and the last one. They're all going to be the same. To them, one size fits all. Keep the ones in power in power. Don't worry about that they are the ones that led you into stagflation. Let's see. Bank of Japan said that they might change. Yeah, okay. So I'm still on that. All right. So that finishes off the Bank of Japan and the yen. And we're definitely concerned. We expect, we've seen it get up to the 47s. Since it went into the weekly buy down in the low 41s and 42s, we've been saying we're looking for basically 150. That's where we're at. It's just like when we looked at the yen. Not the yen, the Turkish lira. Speaking of which, we might as well jump over to the Turkish lira. And let's see, Turkish lira. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Turkish lira. There it is right there. Trading at almost 29 at this point. Looks like it's been a little weaker there. Let's put it up over on Chicago Quant. There. Where are you? I thought it was right there in front of it. There it is, right next to it. And then let's put it up on the new Chicago Quant that we're bench testing, as I like to call it. In other words, that's the only way to make things work right, is to make them work. Put them in front of everybody's face. Make them work. And if it doesn't work, then we fix it. Find a way to make it work. There it is right there. You can see it's been in a daily buy for a bunch of days, just like we are there. And we are in the same situation basically in the J4X platform. Let me just check our chat line so I'm not missing something. Yep. Okay. So Lira never recovered from that big interest rate announcement. It does. It's doing it. There it is right there. There's the big interest rate announcement. It drops down. It's higher. It's been trying to build itself up higher. It's in a daily buy for 5 days now. And you can see the weekly is turning up. No, it is. It's in other words, it's going the opposite direction of throwing money at it. That's what it comes down to. So let me read it like what you said again. So the lira never really never recovered from that big interest rate. All right, so that's what it's doing now. It's running back up to where they increased the interest rates, and it doesn't seem to be they're able to hold it down. So in other words, it's a failure in the end. Just one more failure of failures with the Turkish lira. Turkish lira. All right. All right. We go from the Turkish lira, we go over to the brick. And we used to follow the Mexican peso all the time. We looked at the Mexican peso as the lead brick because I was all excited, thought we could build an index and do a lot of different things because we needed a good currency to make a brick index. We need one good currency that's in the bricks that can hold the rest of the market up. And Mexican peso would have been that. Now that the conference has ended and Mexico has said no thank you, I think we'll stay independent. Let's see, what's that say? Mountain says forex chart. I see, but not on your forex chart. Okay, where are we at here? Yen, lira recovered from the interest rate. It's doing it. That's what in other words, I'm saying, Mountain, we're in the middle of the process now. So this is that interest rate drop. And you can see it's bounced up back almost up to the mathematical mean there. Now all we need to do is take out that high there. So it's doing it, that's for sure. It's still down there. Oh, it is, but it's off its lows. And it's now playing with a weekly buy, and it's been in a daily buy for 4 days. So, to me, that's not something I want to be short. That's that. We're in a neutral stance at this point. We're finally getting in. Whoop! There's my T. We're finally getting into the situation where the product is climbing, and before you know it, we'll be back right up there with 25% interest rates for Turkey, and their currency will have not done anything but let some people in to have an opportunity. Nothing more than that. The insiders. Again, as I keep on repeating myself, the same people who put us in this dilemma to be in QE back in 2008-9 are still in power to this day. And that is a problem because that's not what capitalism is all about. They're supposed to lose their jobs and relinquish their power to other people who may have a better idea. And instead it's like some type of fascist socialist thing going on where one size fits all, and if you make a mistake, don't worry, you're going to still be the top dog and money will come to you. And that's wrong because that's inefficient. Because the only thing holding this market up is QE. And if they had stopped QE 2 years afterwards in 2010, maybe 2011, the world today would be in a better financial shape. But obviously the people in charge, you could see what happened. Mr. Trump dropped those policies. The economy exploded. We made new all-time highs. Mr. Biden put those policies on, and we are, let's put it up on the screen here. Let's look at the S&P 500 as a good example of it all. Where are you? There it is right there. There's the S&P. We'll make it a weekly. And it's not the worst. I mean, it's not that far off of good times. But there's the all-time high right there. Now, what was interesting when we looked at the DAX earlier today, the DAX was flirting with its all-time high. So that's a positive thing, That means maybe Europe is getting out of the problem a little bit more, or they're so desperate now they're willing to buy anything. I would go with the latter. They're willing to buy anything. And there it is right there. Now, this is going back to 2019. Make the COVID low. These were the highs then. It made those highs, sold down, and it's, again, back up towards those highs again. All right, from there, we go to look at the the South African Rand right there. And as it's trying to lift up, that's telling us that gold is trying to go down. So let's find gold on here. There's gold. It's been working way down because this thing's been working its way up. That's the way it works. And again, the fundamentals, when we go to a monthly, I guess that'll probably show us the all-time high. It almost looks like a 3 peaks in a dome. So is that the all-time high there? Not 19. What was that? That was in 11. Okay. So maybe, yeah, okay. So there is the all-time high in March of 22. And then it took it out on May of this year. So that's it's good. It's gaining, but it's not gaining as much as I think it should for the risk of the market and the risk and earnings situations and the inflation factor. To me, it should be much higher, and it's not. All right, now South African Rand is done. That is the king of the BRICS at this point. Unfortunately, Mexico is not anymore there. From there, we go over to where do we go? We go to there is the Nasdaq CAD. Oh no! You know what we didn't do? We didn't do Canada. Let's go see Canada. Canada's been so upside down. There you go. They're running at highs of the last couple years. Let's put that in there as a weekly. And let's see. There's the weekly, and then there it is right there. It stopped following, as Mountain mentioned last week. It stopped following oil. You can see there 148 is it? Is the highs. So there's a lot of pressure on this product. And it looks like it's trying to build a bottom to go up again. It's even worse. Right, exactly. No, it hasn't gone to a new high yet. Give it a couple more weeks. It will. It'll find a way. This artificial. That's probably what I'm complaining about. I don't mind some form of stimulation, but I'd rather it be an open market stimulation. In other words, you put people an opportunity to start businesses of that business, or be joining their business, that type of thing. The fundamentals need to be much more clearer. They're not. That's the problem. All right. So that finishes off the currencies. Let's give a quick run through the metals complex, and then we'll look at the energies real quick, and then we're going to get out of here. So right there. No, that's not it. Right there. There it is. So you can see there, that's September. That's the index. But let's go look at the gold and the silver again. There's gold. It's moving down the way it should. There's silver doing the same thing with a daily sell. There's copper. They're all in weekly sells too. Oh no, silver's trying to get into the weekly buy. That's good. It's starting to show some life there. It should be in a weekly buy at this point. And then from there, let's just take a look at the gold again too. I bet gold is looking a little bit better. Yeah, see, it's climbing up towards the zero line. Now let's jump over to platinum. Platinum went into the sell on Friday. It's still pressing down now, but remember, it's a holiday. Then we go over to crude oil. There's crude oil trading in the $85 area now. Let's see what Brent is doing. It's probably like the 91 area or something like that. No, it's not. Interesting. 88.66. Just a $3 premium. That's interesting. Then we go after, where's it at? We did copper, so it's natural gas. There it is. There's natural gas. Natural gas is trying to sell off a little bit today. Yesterday was like an unchanged product, so or Friday that is. So we'll see how that plays out. All right, traders, we're out of here. It's been a slow, steady conversation today, and we'll talk about intraday trading and how to be neutral or long or short at times. So this is Doc saying happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. Later, 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 traders. Have a good holiday, and we will catch you on Tuesday.